Are you okay for a good hour?
Yeah, an hour's perfect. An hour's perfect for me, man. Yeah, no problem at all. I'm not doing nothing else in this COVID anyway.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's. Do you actually work as a fit pro? I mean, I know you are, but do you actually work as a trainer?
No.
Or? Okay.
No, I don't work as a fit pro at all. I did, I suppose, do a few classes in gyms, but never actually worked as a gym owner or anything like that.
No.
So it hasn't affected COVID. It hasn't affected me too much, to be honest with you, that way, because like I'm working in a store, in a shop, so and we're dealing with essentials, so we're just tipping away, you know.
Is that something that you're looking to do in the future, or are you happy with your kind of work at the moment?
To be honest with you, it was something I was going to do at the start of the year, because I was starting to get a good following online and a good following locally, starting to get kind of pretty well known because of all my work through Kettlebell Sports over the years. I suppose I'll be well known through Waterford, which is a small enough place. So people know you, they come in and asking how the kettlebell is getting on, how's the training getting on as I'm working in the shop. So I was like, okay, I think it's time to make the step and open a gym. And there was a lot of good positive feedback out there. And I was just about to make that big jump, because I mean, I got a mortgage, I got a wife and 3 kids. So I mean, it's something that I had to really feel this was going to work financially for me before I made that jump. But I was just about to do it, and COVID struck, and I was like, oh, that was a blessing, because I mean, all the gyms here are shut now. Everything is shut. Yeah. You know, all these guys working in gyms are under wicked pressure now, and trying to scrape enough to make a living out of it. So, and the place I'm working in is deemed essential. So I think for the time being, and for the foreseeable future, I can't see that happen, you know? No. Not in a physical sense, on an online sense maybe, because I mean, you got a lot of people where you can train now with Kettlebell Sport and just give them programs, I suppose, from all the years of training with Kettlebell. So online seems to be the way forward, you know?
Let's start by saying that I know you from Instagram.
Right.
And that's all I know you from.
That's it.
And I've seen what you do on Instagram. So for the people that are going to be watching this and listening to this,
he's a kettlebell master
David,
from over in Ireland.
The reason you're on the show, the reason I wanted to speak to you is
his
because
training tips,
I'm
tricks,
really into the kettlebell
and yoga
myself.
with a kettlebell.
I'm training up to do RKC.
If you want to get stacked, if you want to get
it's something I've been into for at least 10 years. You know, way back.
He does it with one of these
and all that. And I did try for my strong first. Didn't get it because I injured myself, but you know, I've come to kettlebells quite late in life. I'm not using that as an excuse, but injuries and stuff have made it difficult for me personally. Anyway, that's my journey. But the reason that I was interested in you is like, you just lift these incredible weights so well and you move so good. Even your basic Instagram, it doesn't need to be flash with, you know, ripped abs and gorgeous teeth and huge muscles. Like, you just do it, and it amazes me, and it inspires me. You inspire me to do, you know, what I'm doing with the kettlebells, and you must do with so many people, David. I know you don't want your head to grow. I know you're quite a humble guy. But it is inspiring, and I wanted to ask you first, how did you get started in sports? I mean, this may have been, you know, years ago. And then how did you get started in the kind of kettlebell stuff? Because I say new, it's not new, it's 10, 15 years old, but it's new in terms of
relatively new, exactly.
In terms of bodybuilding and weightlifting and stuff, it's relatively new, although we know it's been around for quite a few years now. So how did you get started in sports, exercise, and how did you get started in the kettlebells, David?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because and it's something I like talking about, because anyone who's been to any of my workshops or has talked to me before knows that I came to sport again late in life. Growing up, I was more into like art and music, and played in a lot of bands, and all the way through my teens and my 20s, I drank, smoked, and rock and rolled my way through all of that, and didn't do one thing in sport, not one.
Okay.
Up until the age of about 31. I'm 41 now. So at 31, I was pushing 16 stone. I was very overweight. I was very unfit. I was very unhealthy. I was very unhappy. I was in a bad place mentally and physically. Just not a happy guy, you know. just all the years of partying and drinking and all the rest that went with it was starting to catch up on me. And I just saw a picture of myself one day. It was like, look at the state here, you know. And I was like suffering with, like, I was diagnosed asthmatic, I was diagnosed high blood pressure, acid reflux, all kinds of stuff. I was just in a bad way. So I just decided to start running. I'll never forget it. I was over in Manchester actually watching a match with my dad, who was big into football. And I went down the next morning to the Trafford Centre, bought a pair of runners and a pair of running shorts and a vest. And I'll never forget the guy looking at me in there, like this ripped young guy, blonde hair. And he sees this big overweight dude come in, sweating and stinking. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? I was like, yeah, man, give me some runners. So the next morning I went home and I started running. And I think the first day I got about 100 yards at the top of my road and I had to turn around and stop. And I was going out in the morning, so no one would see me running because I was overweight. I was kind of very subconscious of that. But after about a month or 2 months of running, I was getting up around 2 or 3K, which was huge, a huge deal for me, you know. And eventually that went to 5K and that went to 10K. And after about maybe 4 months of running, like the blood pressure was getting better, starting to lose weight, and the asthma wasn't asthma, I was just really fucking unfit. The asthma was gone. And I was starting to feel great about myself. And that was I think it was in the February of 2012. And then in the February of 2012, there was announced that the very first marathon in my county of Water I live was being held at Viking Marathon. So that marathon was held in June, and I said, I'm going to run that marathon, I'm going to finish it. And I did. Trained every day, just ran, just ran all the time, and finished the marathon. Got slightly injured doing it, I suppose, because I hadn't any strength training behind me. I was just this skinny guy now. I was about maybe 12 stone, and just running, you know, just run. And finished the marathon. I said, okay, I'm never going to do that again. That sucked, but I'd done it. I said, what am I going to do now? You know, and through a chance meeting of a guy just doing up his gym at work who had a kettlebell on his t-shirt, just had this kettlebell here, with a really cool logo. I was like, what's that? And he was a punter coming in buying some stuff off me. And he was like, it's a kettlebell. And I was like, what's the kettlebell? And come out and try it. He said, look, I'll do up another program for you. And I started explaining about my injury, my knee injury after my running. And he was like, come out and we'll do a few classes and see what you think. So I started off doing like high interval, my HIIT classes with him with kettlebells. I remember swinging a 12 for the first time, and I think I couldn't walk for 3 or 4 days after, as my hamstrings and everything were bits after. Yeah. Like, you know, I was like, this is awesome. I really enjoy this. So I came back doing all the classes, and after about maybe 4 or 5 months of classes, upstairs in his gym he had a Kettlebell Sport. Actually, it was the only gym in Waterford at the time that was doing, actually one of the only ones in Munster that was doing Kettlebell Sport. And just through luck that I fell in on top of that, then I started training Kettlebell Sport. I remember going up and looking at these guys, and the very first time I walked in, they were all lifting 24s, 224s, where they're like sets of minute on, minute off jerk. Like, and you were lifting like 10, 12 RPM. I was like, this is incredible. 224s, like, are you joking me? You know, here's me swinging a 16 or a 20, thinking this is on a hardcore guy. I was looking at these guys then going, that's incredible. I want me some of that. So then I got involved in Kettlebell Sport after that. Forgive me, I do talk a lot. I'm Irish, it's something we tend to do. I tend to ramble, but yeah, so I just got into Kettlebell Sport then, and that really started my journey off with Kettlebell. I got into Kettlebell Sport by 2013.
The good thing about this is a talk show, so you've got free reign, my friend. But just before you go any further, David, what is the difference between lifting kettlebells and kettlebell sports? What's the difference?
Right, Kettlebell Sport is a power endurance sport. So Kettlebell Sport is you lift one of either 3 lifts, long cycle jerk or snatch, for as many times as you possibly can in a 10-minute set. So for men's novice is 2 16s, men's amateur is 2 24s, and men's professional is 2 32s, which is lifted all in competition and in international level as well. So it's pretty damn tough.
What kind of you said 2 32s. Now I know if nobody out there has ever lifted 2 32s, I tell you it is crushing just to do a few reps, let alone do it for 10 minutes straight. I mean, am I right in saying you obviously you won a few of your competitions, and how many reps can you do a clean and jerk in 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes, it depends on the bells. I mean, with 216s, I lifted 150 in 10 minutes. With 224s, my best in training is 95. And my best in competition is actually 82, which isn't great. But and with 232s, my comp best is 48, and my training best is 50. So, and that's without, like I said, with kettlebell sport, you can't put the bells down. You literally pick the bells up at the start and you clean and jerk, and that's it. The only rest is in rack position in front or overhead at the top, and they're your rest positions, you know.
I've seen people where they hold that rack position, and obviously the spine is bent right back to be able to carry the weight. I mean, do a lot of guys suffer injuries because of that spinal bend, or is it considered actually strengthening the spine?
It is. It's considered strengthening the spine. I've actually haven't met anybody, and this is strange to say because I've gone to a hell of a lot of competitions. I haven't met anybody who's had a spine injury from it. I've met people who've had injuries, all right, maybe shoulder injuries, maybe like a hip injury or a knee or something, but I've never met anybody with a spine injury from it. So, and that's hundreds of people, hundreds of men lifting weights. And because like the weight isn't actually, you know, you're actually sitting the weight on your iliac crest or on your hips. So it's going down straight down through your legs. So you're actually not carrying the weight on your body. It's literally going straight down through your skeletal system, your legs. Well, if you have rack position correctly. So there's very little, your spine is curved, no doubt about it, but the weight is actually going through your hips and through your legs, you know, as opposed to then through the middle of the back.
So it's really well displaced. The weight's really well displaced.
Yeah. But technique, I mean, the technique has to be good. And especially, I mean, like, you're not going to get to the likes of lifting heavy weights if your technique is bad. So overarching all of that in kettlebell sport, like, you have to start from the start. And like, your technique and your mobility has to be on point before you really start shooting up the weights.
Kettlebell training is, you know, for people that are not understanding that much about it, there is a bit of a learning curve, isn't it? It's not like picking up a couple of dumbbells. I mean, I like to call it an art. I mean, I think it really does give you something, doesn't it? It takes a long time, doesn't it?
It takes time. I mean, and that's the thing that in this kind of immediate environment that we're living in now, kettlebell sport and the mastery of technique in kettlebell sport, they're very basic lifts. I mean, it's just clean and jerk or snatch, and that's it, you know. But there's so many little nuances of technique and so many things you can do to make the lift easier on yourself, you know, using the big muscles in your body, relaxing certain areas of the body throughout each portion of the lift, you know, so you're getting a little relaxed every time you're lifting. So I mean, there's lots and lots of things to learn about it before you can actually start doing it at an international level, you know, and start really progressing up. But I mean, that's what I loved about it. I loved the challenge of it. Had that combination from the mobility, of strength, and of cardiovascular fitness, you know, the three basic tenets of physical fitness. I had the three of them, you know, almost in a perfect triangle. So that's what I love about it. I love that there's always something you can improve with it, you know. You have to have a certain kind of a mindset. I think you have to be a bit fucking strange to do it. A bit of a masochist, you know.
Well, you know, I'm a big believer in, and you obviously are, that anything that's worth having is hard to get. And the harder you work for something, the more you're going to appreciate, and the more it's going to do for your body and your brain and you know, 100%. Just everything.
100%.
We'll come back on the techniques and the, you know, the all the good stuff about kettlebells, because I did stop you like a little way through. You know, you got through to the kettlebell sport. You started training in that. So where did you go after? You know, you did the sports and stuff. You've learnt the art. Where did you go kind of after that?
The journey to the sport has been I actually officially retired from the sport there about a year and a half ago. I was going to give it one more go because there was a competition, an international world competition in held in Ireland. It meant to be this year, or sorry, last year, just gone. And that was going to be my last hurrah. But I've had a great journey through the sport. You know, I've done the traditional GS 10-minute sets with long cycle, you know, basic. Started off and I wanted to get on the team, then got on the team. And like I set myself out little goals, you know, what I wanted to do as I was progressing through the sport. And like realistic goals, but enough that they scared you, you know. I knew I was never going to be a professional world champion, because I mean, there's guys in Russia who are out lifting me double doing what I'm doing, and they're at it their whole lives, you know. I said, I'm never going to get to that level. But I said, look, what I want to do is I'd like to first of all, get on the Irish team and represent my country in a sport, however much of a fringe sport it is. But just to say, like, you stood up with your national colours on them, and that's a great thing to say.
Oh yeah, man.
And then, you know, I said, okay, I wanted to win an international competition, so that was a tough one. That was one, okay, that's going to be tough, but I'm going to train. I'm going to train like a dog. I'm going to just train non-stop for this. And I got consumed by it. I just trained kettlebell sport, thought about nothing but kettlebell sport for about 6 years. I was absolutely obsessed with it. And I did. I mean, I got on the Irish team and I got to represent my country in 2014 for the first time in Russia at the Europeans, which was absolutely incredible. Went to St. Petersburg. And that was just to get there, just to get to Russia. I mean, like, when was I ever going to get to Russia in my life? And here I am, like, 3 years later from not being able to run at the top of the road to represent my country away, like in Russia, in the birthplace of the sport. You know, St. Petersburg is the home of the sport, you know? So it was like, I was kind of blinking, looking at it, this actually happening, you know? And it just so happened that I won that Europeans on the 224s. So it was like, and now I'm European champion. It's like, that's been a strange 3 years, you know what I mean? From nothing to that. That year then I represented Ireland in Germany at the Worlds, and I came fourth by 1 rep, and that stung. God, that was hard, because I slipped with about 30 seconds left and would have been 3 reps left. And I slipped on the mat with a chalk, and I hadn't looked at the mat properly at the start, and it was my own fault. And that was hard to bear, but I took that and I trained, and I went back the next year and I won the Worlds in 2015 in amateur. And that was my big thing I wanted to do. I got up and I won the Worlds at an amateur level for my country, which was amazing to see, you know. And it was against 9 other guys, so it was a good competition. A lot of competitions you see, there might be only one guy against another guy, or a guy by himself in the category. But it's nice to say, look, I won against 8 other guys, you know. It was great. Then I was like, right, okay, I've done that. Amateur level, European champion, national European and world champion. Right, now I'm going to go professional. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go professional. But I know for a fact, going professional, I'm not going to place anywhere. I'm not going to get near a podium. But it was just to say that I stood up at a professional level for my country and represented. So a lot of guys are going to say, why don't you stick with the amateur? Like, you know, you can go over to these comps and keep winning world titles, you know? But it's like, look, I've done that. I've proved that to myself. I don't need to prove that to myself anymore. I'm not a medal hound. It's not something I was ever interested in, you know? I suppose maybe coming to sport late in life, it didn't mean that much to me. Like, I'd done that already. So I think any more at an amateur level would have been unfair to people coming up behind me, you know, because they were probably in the same journey as I was. So look, I'm not going to hang around and just be this big fish in a small pond, knowing I can pretty much just turn up and medal at one of these competitions. So I want to push myself. And when I'm looking back at my journey, like later on in life, I can say, look, you did everything you could do with this sport. You know what I mean? So I trained like an absolute animal. 32s, the jump up from 32s from 24s it's like a different sport now. It's like actually like a different sport. I mean, they're heavy, you know?
Yeah.
And like, you really have to work on your strength so much more. And your technique has to be flawless. Everything has to be absolutely spot on, because it's almost like a max effort each rep. So everything has to be bang on. So look, I trained non-stop, and I went over to Kazakhstan in 2016 and represented Ireland at an international level. I think I came 5th, which was a pretty decent result for me out of all these guys who are like up against the best of the best in the world. We've been training this as professional athletes probably for about 15 years, you know. So just to be in the same room as these guys for me was incredible. So I got up and I lasted by 10 minutes, and I got respect from all these guys, you know, these Russian guys and Kazakhs and Ukrainian guys who are, you know, that's their sport. You know, you got that level of respect. I was like, okay, that's pretty much me done now with 32s. I'd done it. I wanted to get 48 reps, which was Master of Sports, which I'd done the following year. And then I said, wait, that's me done with 32s. Because it's such a heavy weight. I'm not getting any younger. I proved to myself I could do it. And then I moved on from there. I went to the Marathon Federation after that, which is a totally different thing altogether. It's the same lift, long cycle, but you're lifting for 30 minutes instead of lifting for 10 minutes. You're lifting lower weights, like I was lifting 220s, but you're lifting 220s for 30 minutes nonstop. So I got onto that because I said, it's just a new challenge, something else to try. So I got onto that and won the Europeans in that at professional level, which was fantastic. And I came second in the world at professional level with that, getting Master of Sports, just 250 reps in 30 minutes. non-stop with the 220s. And the guy who I was training, I was his coach, he was my athlete, he came first. And another guy who was helping with his training, he came third. So I was kind of saying, look, it don't get much better than that at a world level. Yeah. My athlete came first, I came second, another guy who was helping out came third. So that was pretty awesome. And then I was like, okay, that proved to myself. That's the next thing I proved to myself. Okay, I've done that. And then I had one more big thing I wanted to try. I'll talk about that in a minute with you. I'll let you get a word in because I just keep rambling.
That's all right, man. That's okay.
Yeah, the journey through the sport was pretty amazing and left me with a lifetime of friends and memories. Excuse me, so that's one out.
All right.
You know, that I can always check in on or I can meet these guys and I've done that since like over and workshops and stuff and training.
You're
not getting to work on hard style stuff now, but we get onto that maybe later on. So that's kind of like, I suppose that's the same guy.
Your sound just went a little bit funny.
Is he back?
Hold on. Let me just bit of a technical hitch. Hold on. Let's just get rid of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. Sorry, man. Yeah. So yeah, look, the sport was great. So that's what I done with the sport, and I'll never forget it. It was fantastic. You know, fantastic.
Yeah, your audio is a little bit down. I don't know if you've done. Yeah, that's better. It just seemed to come back then.
Sure, we back. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit funny, but we'll get by. What you've just described, you know, I'm a bit jealous, to be honest. Not in an envious way or anything, but well, no, yeah, I guess kind of. What I was going to say to you was, how do you? I know you said like, you know, what the guys in Kazakhstan and Russia are lifting is nothing, you know, it's way more than you're lifting. But like, I see you doing a kettlebell swing the other day with various kettlebells in your hand. That was about, what was it, 130 something kilos, was it?
144, yeah.
144 kilos. Like that's a shitload of weight, man. What do you, science aside, right? Because we've got all the books on science, you know, but when you just get on and do something, and you know, I understand what you said about being tireless, about constantly throwing yourself into something that usually does, you know, you give up a lot. People give up relationships, their work suffers, lots of things suffer for somebody to be able to do what they want to do. And I kind of understand that. But what do you attribute to that superior strength gain, which you do have now? What do you think it is? Is it just constantly doing it, or is it particularly, you know, no, I believe in this type of training, that's given me more strength gains than anything else? What would you, you know, kind of summarize it as?
It's just, like, I can only speak for myself, and it's just, it's the kind of keep it simple, stupid kind of training that I do, you know. I mean, the last 12 months I've been out the backyard, and it probably, you see on my Instagram posts I'm just literally out in my backyard. I've got about 7 kettlebells and a rock, and that's what I've been training with.
I've seen
for the last pretty much 12 months.
Yeah,
you know. But it's about just doing it. You know, I mean, you see so many people online just talking about training and should I be doing this and should I be doing that and what should I lift and what should I buy and how should I start and how should I brace and I'm just saying, people, just lift, just get out and do it, you know. And that's all I've been doing since I started training. I haven't, like, I'm nothing special, not far from it. A normal working guy working a 40-hour week. I got wife and 3 kids, just your normal average guy. But what I did was I just got up and I trained every day. Every day. I trained for about an hour of mobility.
Did you?
Oh, just I do every day, and then I go out and train with kettlebells or the rock every day. You know, it doesn't have to be anything major. Like, I'm not going out and break myself up with it, but I go out and we do, like, say, 100 squats, front squats with a rock weighs 60 kg. I go out and do 100 front squats with that. The next day I grab a pair of kettlebells and I do 100 push press, 228s.
set the time, and just do something every day. And all these little everydays, all these little bits, they all just add up, And I'm the kind of person which you probably got from my rambling on, that I just like to set a goal and try something new and then move on and set a goal and set, so it's something that you set these little mini goals for yourself as you go along. You hit that and then, okay, let's try something else. So before it was, I wanted to just maybe
David,
press like 228 or something.
There's definitely something going on with your audio, unless it's my side. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly,
yeah. There's a bit of feedback or something coming in. So, did you ever follow I'm looking at this RKC thing that I'm doing, and there's the rite of passage that you have to get through in Pavel's books, which is like Enter the Kettlebell, I think it's that one. And there's all different recommendations. Dan John recommends certain ways of training, and different people do different things. Did you follow a certain training protocol, or has it always been a view set? Right, okay. You just
I never followed any specific training protocols or anything, whether it be for the sport or whether it be for general day-to-day training. It's just kind of train how I feel, So some days I feel I want to go and do some bodyweight work, or some day I want to go and do some kettlebell work, or some day I want to go and do some stone lifting work, some of the shoulder. I don't like being tied down to a specific program because I don't need to be at the moment. I'm not specifically training for sport. I'm just training for enjoyment, and I'm training for my mental health, as much as my physical health, especially with COVID at the moment, But I just train because I love it, and I've no specific plan. But it seems to really working out because I've never felt stronger, or in my life I've never felt stronger than I am now at 41, And I'm just training for the hell of it, to be honest with you. And that's the honest truth. I could bullshit you and say, yeah, I'm following X, Y, and Z, but I'm not. I'm just having fun with it now. That's it.
That's probably the best way in it, when you're just training and enjoying the movement and the strength. It is really good to just get outside. You train outside a lot as well, I've noticed.
I have to, because I've got 3 kids and I got a small house, so I haven't got an option. So it's just I got to train at the back because I can't get to a gym. So I'm just training out. If it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's cold, if it's dark, I'm just at the back.
Yeah, that's
no excuses. Just go out and lift.
Yeah, I do the same. I go out nearly every day, and I've done that for a long time. I haven't actually worked out properly in a gym for. I can't remember the last time I had a proper workout in the gym. But then I've worked in gyms for like nearly 20 years, and I want to get out of there and go and train outside. Everyone else wants to go and train in the gym. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, when you work, actually a lot of people do, sport and stuff can be somebody's hobby. You can be really great at it. And I've seen so many people come into the business over the years that, maybe they worked in the city, they're a computer programmer, they worked in banking, and they've taken a redundancy and thought, I've always liked sports. I've always liked my personal, training and stuff. I'm going to take the certification, become a personal trainer. Then they get in the gym and they realize that all day, every day, you're locked under these lights in a sweaty, horrible gym. And if you don't love it, they don't last very long, a year max.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
100%. You have to have a passion for it. Because like you said, the hours are tough. I know from going to it, I'm going to the same gym for the last 10 years. And the hours are long. And you're going to ask the same fucking questions all the time. So you have to really have a passion for it.
Yep.
I can understand that 100%, man.
It soon becomes very, very boring if it's not something you're really passionate about.
Exactly.
It does. A lot of people don't realise that. They think it's a glamorous world, but it's 100% not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So you mentioned that you've taught some seminars.
Yeah, which has been the strangest thing for me, I suppose, coming from where I've come from.
How'd that come about then?
Yeah, well, what I done was, at these kettlebell comps, the main problem I saw with most of the male lifters, especially at the amateur level, was the lack of mobility a lot of guys had. A lot of guys were training kettlebells, just picking them up and lashing out reps. and training their strengths, they were training their cardio, but the missing link that they weren't training. And I just got asking guys, like nobody trained any mobility one.
Yeah, something that's quite close to my heart as well. Actually, you were talking about, you've seen a lot of guys that their mobility, their movement wasn't great. So
yeah.
Do you want to expand on that a little bit more?
Sure. It was kind of the elephant in the room with all these kettlebell comps, and even at an international level, looking at these top amateur lifter guys, you know, you could see that their lack of mobility, especially overhead, because I mean, kettlebells, like, you know, you're directly overhead, you're straight overhead with two bells, not like when you're lifting like snatch or whatever with barbells, you know, you can have a bit of play with it, but you're directly overhead with kettlebells. So when you have to have good scapular mobility and good upper body mobility to be able to deal with that, you know. And a lot of these guys didn't, you know, a lot of guys didn't. And it was affecting them. You see, there were guys getting injured, like they were getting injured their lower backs just to overcompensation. And like there was lots of stuff going on. And I was like, if you just train a bit of mobility, this could really help. And I used myself as a guinea pig. And I eventually started like being able to really relax, you know, overhead and in rack position. And I was like, Jesus, this is the missing link. This is something that's not being taught. You know, because a lot of places I went to that were training kettlebells in Ireland, and subsequently through workshops around the world, it was not something that was being taught. You know, the lifting, the technique was being taught, which is obviously extremely important. The strength conditioning was being taught, but there was very, very little, if any, work on mobility. So that's, I said, look, I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig because I'm starting from scratch. Like I said, I had no background, and I eventually, like through yoga and other things that I was doing, was getting to be really, really mobile under the weights, and I was starting to really be able to relax, and subsequently my lifting got better and better and better and better. So I started doing some kind of extraordinary things with distance lifting that I've done over the years, you know. So people started taking notice of this then. They were like, hey, how could you do that? You know, how would you lift for 30 minutes straight with 222? So how could you lift for 60 minutes straight with 220s? I've never seen anybody do that before.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like they're asking, you know, every kind of content, you know, what are you at? Like, what kind of training are you doing? You train for motions? I said, no, I just started training my weak link, which is my mobility. I'm like, oh, fuck, I never thought of that. Any chance to show me? So a couple of guys online started, like you reached out to me, just started reaching out to me online and saying, look, can you send me on like a program or something? What are you doing? Can I do what you do? So I sent them on what I was doing. And one of the guys was like, you should start marketing this, man. This is gold. You know, this is something that really works. So this is how this kettle yoga came into being. I wrote a little ebook, small little ebook, just on mobility for kettlebell sports.
I didn't know about that. Is this your book?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So I wrote that, and just as a, you know, someone who's genuinely has a massive passion for the sport and who wanted to help people out, I said, I'll release this and see what people think. Like it, don't like it, whatever. It just took off. I mean, it got massive. People were doing it, and people were getting good results from it, and then they were putting up like nice reviews about it, and then suddenly it was like, can you come over and teach it? So I done my first workshop over in Portishead, over in Bristol, about two and a half years ago. And I'll never forget how nervous I was going over. I was like, you know, I was kind of looking at me, like, you know, I'm a guy who works in a shop, you know what I mean? I started doubting myself, but I was like, no, go over, look, you have something to give people. I genuinely believe that this will help people when they're lifting.
Yeah. And
I'd done the workshop and it was really well received. And then it just went from there. I mean, I think I've done about 15 so far over the last 2 years, and gone as far as field as Australia with it. I've gone all over Europe, and there's offers coming in now from all over the place, all over America and everything to come and do it. But then obviously COVID struck, so that's knocked on the head for a while. But it's something I hope will come back, you know, because I believe that it will genuinely help lifters, you know, because it's something that's not being taught as much as it should be.
Yeah. Well, from a professional standpoint, I've been into the mobility side of things for a long time, and this is why I don't research my client, like the people that I talk to, too much, because I just found out something about you and I didn't know anything about that. You know, so it's not like I'm stalking you and trying to find out everything about you, but like I'd never heard of it. I've never heard of Kettle Yoga. So if anybody doesn't know about Kettle Yoga, David's wrote a book on it. We'll get a link together, David. So we'll put it in the, you know, the titles and things so that you can sell a few more copies. Because if it's going to help somebody, oh God, we're all about that. But movement wise, I mean, I've studied movement for the last 10 years. You wouldn't believe the amount of courses and that I've done, but I've never wrote a book about it, and I've never so I just use it I just use it every day for people with injuries and that I'm rehabbing. But yeah, Kettle Yoga sounds, what is that, a day course or a 2-day course, a weekend?
What it is, it was just an ebook of poses and methods of mobility, I suppose, that kind of, I was using like yoga moves that kind of apes the positions you're put in kettlebell sport, you know?
Yeah.
So upper body and lower body, like rack position, overhead position, stuff that, like I said, wasn't being taught, you know?
Yeah.
And this is, like I said, this is just purely me. I've done this on myself and it worked. There's no massive amount of research behind it, except for me and a couple of guys who tried it on, and it seemed to work, and it has worked, and it's helped people, and I'm glad I done it now. I mean, I know this, I could do a hell of a lot more with it, and I'll be bringing out a second book, soon enough, because it is pretty basic, you know. But I mean, what I found was that a lot of people aren't even doing the pretty basic thing; they're not doing anything. So if you can just do something is better than nothing, you know.
If you like researching anything to do with stretching, right? And I've got a really good book here. I'm not associated to anybody or anything. This book was written, I believe, in the 70s when I first, or 80s when I first got hold of this, and it's called Stretching Scientifically, and it's by a guy called Thomas Kurz.
Okay.
If you was interested in looking at some science about that actually is as relevant today as it was all the years ago he wrote it, and I've actually incorporated that into stretching systems that I've written for companies in the UK, actually.
Awesome.
Very, very good, and might spark something off in your mind as well if you're going to put it together with kettlebell stretching yoga too, or whatever it is. But that is a great, Stretching Scientifically, it's a great book. So anybody else listening as well, that's a good accompaniment. Again, I don't get anything through saying that. It really is a helpful book for people.
Fantastic.
So yeah, so you've really been on a journey, David, haven't you?
Oh man, I mean, when I look back at the last 10 years, it's like, it's just been incredible. I mean, it's been amazing, you know, coming from nothing, and I mean nothing, you know, absolutely nothing. I had no interest in sport up until 32.
Yeah, you
know, to go from that to represent your country at an international level, and then being brought around the world to teach people, like not just the mobility end of it, but teach them the techniques and teach them and tell them your story and talk to them about kettlebells. You know, it's been incredible. And sometimes I have to pinch myself that this has actually happened. You know, because a lot of people get to the age of 32 and say, look, that's it. Yeah, like your sports career's over, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you think of professional footballers or anything like that. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, 32, you're over the hill. So it's nice to say I started at 32. And I'm after getting 10 years ago. Yeah.
And that's 20 years ago for me.
Man, it's amazing.
Do you have you ever done any of the big kettlebell certifications or anything? Have you ever done any of their stuff?
Like, what do you mean by the big certifications?
Like you've got RKC, you've got Strong First, you've got Steve Cotter's IKFF or something like that. I think there's a few of them, isn't there?
No, what I've done is
Strength
with the
Matters.
Kettlebell Sport is, no, I've done none of those. None of those at all.
No.
I'm thinking of doing this year, because I'm after getting that bit stronger. I'd like to do just the Beast Tamer, which is the 48 kg.
Oh man, I've got that book.
Yeah. So I'm thinking just out the back. I mean, I've got it to 42 kg, just because that's all I have. I haven't got a 48.
Right. So anyone that don't know, David, I might get this wrong. So the Beast Tamer is a 48 kilo kettlebell. It's I think it's 3 or 4 lifts. There's a one-legged. There's 3 lifts. 48 kilos. A one-legged squat.
Yeah.
Is it the overhead press?
Strict press.
And what's the third one?
Pull up.
Oh, pull up.
Pull up. Yeah.
And what you're gonna put your foot through the end of?
That's the one I'm going to have the most problem with, because I haven't got a pull-up bar. But I have done a lot of rings. Actually, no, talk about certifications. I did do the gold medal bodies, rings 1 and 2 over the last.
Oh, GMB, yeah.
Yeah. I've done the rings one, which is great crack.
Yeah, rings are great.
Oh man, rings are awesome. I absolutely love them.
Yeah,
and that's my main thing I'm missing in the gym, because I got obsessed with those over a couple of years as well. And like muscle ups and back levers and front levers and all that cool trick stuff, but also just the basic pulling, pull ups, dips. It's unbelievable for body strength, body core. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, when you use when you use rings, it's just that stability, isn't it? Your whole body has to pull tighter.
Neil, it's unreal. And like I was teaching just as part of the course, I said, look, I'll just do a little bit on rings. I'm just showing people like even push-ups on rings, the difference. I mean, you get to a guy, maybe like I was talking to a guy who was a British Royal Marine. It was like he could knock out like 50 fucking push-ups, absolutely no problem. But stick him on a pair of unstable rings, tend to do 5, and he's going to be under serious pressure.
Yeah, man.
Just because of that instability, and he's fighting it, and but said you just get so strong from doing that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that and dips and all that. I mean, it's an incredible apparatus. Absolutely love.
Sorry, you're just frozen a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 sets of rings, so I'm too heavy at the moment to be able to do what I want to do with them, and I've got to build my strength up a lot, which I'm having a lot of trouble with, David. So I might have to send you a few questions, because I'm not quite getting to where I want to get. But in fairness, for people that are building their strength up, the reason I can't get to where I think I want to get is because of old injuries. I did a lot of contact sports and got beaten up pretty bad, and in accidents and things. Is there a limit to what you can lift and where you're going to go with this? Or do you think you can pretty much break through anything as long as you get your technique right, get that mobility right, build your strength up slowly?
That's exactly it. And it's to be able to stack the weight correctly over your joints. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Be able to stack the weight carefully over your joints correctly and have the strength. I mean, like the likes of stuff I'm doing, like I'm doing like 42 kilo kettlebell complexes now, like swing, snatch, jerk, push press, strict press, left, right, do for like 4 or 5 sets. And people are looking at you going, how are you doing that with 42? You made it look like a 16, but I built that up from working with a 16 over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
That I know exactly how the body reacts to each and every lift, because I've become a real in-depth study of these basic lifts. And it's only when you got that basic building block, that real wide base, then you can start to bring it up to the top, up to your heavier weights. But you got to have that base first. And
but that literally takes you years, doesn't it, to get that base? It's not like a 12-week course and then you've got the strength, is it?
No, and that's what I never tell that to people when I'm doing these courses and stuff. It's like you don't just get to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Unless you're a genetic freak, But you just got to build slowly, like with anything, like with mobility. People saying, "Look, can I get really mobile in 6 to 10 weeks?" No, you can't. It's going to take that many years, maybe. You know what I mean? But all the little bits add up, and it's just to have patience with yourself that you can do it. Yeah. But it's always eventually you'll get there. But just stop trying to force it, because when you force it, that's when you get injured.
Well, I've got a lot of work to do. I started in October, November with my coach Terence. He's an RKC guy who just lives up the road from me. Funny enough, great guy. He's
Terence. I think I know Terence actually from Instagram. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah. Well, he's my RKC inspiration. He's been my coach, and he's got me through the first kind of 3 months of like, oh man, I haven't trained so hard for freaking years, I tell you. And I keep saying this every chat I have with someone. I keep thinking back to me being in that room with Terence and him pushing me. Like, the one thing that I found with the kettlebells, what I was going to say is I've allowed myself, I think July the certification is, so I've started in October, so that's quite a long time for me to get there. For me, it's like doing a marathon. It's just like my marathon. That's what it will be. Exactly. But the thing with the kettlebells that I've found, and I am coming into it a little bit older, but if you're younger, your lungs are going to be better. But the lung and heart rate of that strength endurance, you know, like doing 20 kettlebell swings on the minute, every minute, you know, for 5 or 10 minutes, or snatches, it's through the roof, isn't it? The lung.
It's incredible, and it's not something that people understand when we talk about kettlebell sport. Kettlebell sport, people think of it just as a weightlifting sport. It's not. It's a strength endurance cardio sport, and cardio, I mean serious cardio.
Yeah.
You know, I mean serious cardio. I mean, like, the only thing I can think compares to would be like sprinting or like Olympic rowing. You know, it's that much of an endurance sport. It's incredible. I mean, and you're going to get so fit. I mean, when I was training non-stop kettlebell sport, I mean, I went out with no training and ran a half marathon, no problem in 1:34, you know, and absolutely no problem whatsoever with, I'd say, about 4 running sessions training, because your heart and lungs are so fucking resilient after training, especially long cycle. I mean, long cycle is the devil.
So what's long cycle? Describe long cycle.
Clean and jerk. Jerk.
Yeah.
So long cycle is probably the best cardio I think you can do. You know, it's one of the best you can do. And not only are you getting strong, but you're getting fit as well. You know, seriously. Well,
there's certainly a lot of strength coaches that say if there was one exercise and you could do nothing else, just one lift, then it's got to be a clean and jerk, surely.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with that anymore.
And combine, is it? You combine that with some yoga, stretching, you know, whatever type of stretching you like. I mean, get your body loose enough to be able to take. Do you think that the you know, there's a big thing about recovery rate as well. Like, you can train every day if your body is more mobile. What about nutrition? Where do you stand on your because you said to me you drunk, you smoked, you probably weren't eating the best food in the world back in the day.
That was all the way through my 20s.
Yeah. What about now?
Nutrition now could be, I will get up in the morning and just have a standard breakfast, like a bowl of muesli and fruit.
Yeah.
I eat a lot. I eat all the time.
You need the calories.
I'll have a big 11s. I'll have a big lunch, usually like a dinner left over from yesterday. I'll train and have another dinner. I'll have snacks. I mean, I eat a lot. I probably eat about 2,500, 3,000 calories easy each day, you know, but then I train a lot. So I suppose I need to.
Yeah.
But nothing specific. I mean, I don't deny myself anything. I'll have a few beers the weekend, nothing major, 2 or 3 beers, and I'll eat some chocolate. I'll have a bit of cake if it's going, you know. Whatever the wife for dinner. So nothing specific. It's just.
I always like when Arnold Schwarzenegger once said to someone, I think a reporter said to him, "What do you drink now? You know, is it milk all the time?" And he went, "No. When you are a grown up, you've got to drink beer." It's just. So I still have a beer as well, and I'm not going to stop. I mean, at the weekend.
Oh, no, man, you got to enjoy it as well. Who am I impressing now? I'm 42. You know, I don't have anybody to impress. You know, I'm married 15, 16 years now. So, but I mean, it's not as if I'm overweight. You know, I'm doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
with kettlebells. It's not slowing me down, Andy. So I'm just going to enjoy it. Why not?
Is there? Would you go back to sport again? Is there a masters level? Because I know when I do the RKC thing, sorry to keep going on about it, but I don't technically have to lift quite as much as somebody who's under the age of 50, but I still want to do it the same as them anyway. I'm not going to
be the exact same as them.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same as everybody else. Because I'm a masters, I'm still going to lift the same weight. That's it. Exactly. I told Terence that. But yeah, is there a masters in the sport? Is that
There is. For 40s and over, you get into the masters section, which I'd be into now. I can still compete in the open if I wanted to, but I could also compete in the masters division. Like I said, I want to give it one more go. And just because it's in Ireland, I said, look, it'd be almost rude not to go up and meet all my mates again.
When's that?
And it was meant to be last year gone, but because of COVID got cancelled. But they were hoping again for the end of this year in November. So if it's on, I'll be there 100%.
Awesome.
I'll give it that last go. You know, the last itch I really want to scratch with the sport is to win a professional world gold. That's the last itch I want to scratch. Like I'd happily retire without it, and but it's like, wouldn't it be nice to say that you were the best in the world, at the very best in the world? You know?
Yeah.
Is
there a big? I mean, I know I've actually been on courses with strength guys from Ireland and Northern Ireland for years. There's awesome trainers over there. Is there a lot of kettlebell stuff? Like, could you make a living out of it over there, do you think?
I think so. I mean, amazingly, Ireland is huge for kettlebell sport. There's a lot of clubs. I mean, there really is. It's a small country, you know, but I mean, there could be like 15, 20 clubs more, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe 50, 60 people in each club. So, I mean, there's a lot of interest in it.
Yeah.
I don't know why it became so popular here, but it really did. I mean, even when we go abroad to competitions, we got one of the biggest teams, you know?
Yeah.
It's just something that's kind of took off. Now, I would say maybe 70%, maybe more would be female. There won't be many men doing it.
Right.
I think it's because to get to even the amateur level deal at kettlebell sport, like you're lifting 224s, and it's a pretty decent weight, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to put a lot of time and effort even to get to the amateur level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get to that 10-minute set, and you need to be a certain kind of a mad individual to want to do that anyway, you know. But then to go professional again, I mean, that takes another massive level of dedication to get to that, you know. So there's not many guys do it outside of Russia, where it's got a huge base.
Yeah,
it's one of the national sports in Kazakhstan.
Yeah. But
it's big here. It is. I think I could make a go of it. You know, there's a lot of interest in going around and teaching the guys, just because I'm in the sport 10 years. A lot of guys know, you know, again through like we met through Instagram or through Facebook and stuff. They're seeing what you're doing. Like, well, let's get this guy down and see what he says. You know, he might have something we can take.
Did you have a coach who was constantly refining your technique, or did you?
No.
You perfected your own technique?
I've always been good at. I think the one thing I've been good at is constant self-evaluation, and always knowing what my weaknesses were. So, and constantly hammering on those weaknesses. I knew the reason I lost in 2014 was my cleans were poor. My jerk was good, but my cleans were bad. They weren't great. I was losing time, maybe a second each clean. But when you're doing it 60 times or 70 times in 10 minutes,
that's a lot,
60 to 70 seconds you're giving away.
What do you mean? What do you mean your clean's not good? Give me a.
So, like, when I was cleaning the belts, what I was doing, instead of landing straight down a rack position, I was cleaning them to my chest, bringing them in and slightly re-racking each time. So that was maybe 1 second per lift.
Right.
But like I said, you bring that out over 70 lifts. That's 70 seconds. That's like a 10th of your set. You've wasted.
Yeah.
Just by re-racking. So, and that could be maybe 6 or 7 reps they're giving away.
Right.
So it's like, if I can tighten that up, I get those extra reps in, which will be the difference between me winning or losing, or getting a rank, you know.
Yeah.
So I cleaned that up. I cleaned up my cleans for a year.
Right.
I did nothing but cleans, pretty much, you know. And cleans would really work your cardio as well. Murder on the lungs, you know. But I worked cleans nonstop, and I knew what I needed to do, fix that, and won the Worlds next year.
Right.
And then I knew, okay, to get to the 32s, my mobility was bad. What do I have to do? Work on my mobility. How do I do that? There's no reference. What I do, I'll make it up myself and see how I get on with it. And it worked. It worked. And I was like, okay, this is something I can pass on to people.
Yeah. Did you ever pick up any injuries along the way? I mean, did you ever, was you ever out for 6 weeks with a shoulder problem, or have you ever really?
Nothing serious. Nothing serious. I had a couple of niggles. I think everybody does.
Yeah.
I had a few niggles. I think I popped one of my ribs out.
Yeah.
A few little niggly shoulder injuries. But I think the main thing that I had going for me was, I was just a raw piece of clay at the start because I'd done no sports. I had no injuries. You know, I had nothing to fight against. Into the sport. Just this raw lump of dough that I could mold myself to fit the sport, you know?
Yeah, I've heard this quite a lot, actually. It's like, you know, I've been playing sports since I was 10, and by the time I was the age that you were getting into it, I'd already been bashed up severely, you know. Yeah. I take a lot of guys sometimes through rehab that have been in the army and stuff and played loads of rugby, and like, guys, this stuff absolutely mashes up your body. I'm telling you now. You know, our ego does want us to be you know, impulsive, strong, powerful, run into people, fight people. But I tell you, you know, your mum says you'll pay for that when you're older. You do pay for it when you're older. You really do pay for it. You do. So yeah, so I guess, I mean, like I've heard the same thing about, you know, older marathon runners, you know, guys that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they suddenly come out with doing marathon running. They've never done anything in their lives. And that doesn't mean to say that, you know, for anybody out there who wants to get into anything like this, if you've never done anything before, it doesn't matter, does it, David? You're the living example.
That's it. I mean, I put myself out there as that example. You know what I mean? And I always say to people, it's never too late. Yeah. You're never too old, or you're never too unfit. Because believe me, I was too unfit. You put me in a lineup with 100 people, I've been at the bottom 5. You know what I mean? So then you can say to people, look, you can be that bad, but you can improve. You know, you can do it. Just fucking do it. That's it.
That's awesome, man. So where was I going to take this now? We've covered your kettlebell. What I wanted to ask you was, a lot of sports, a lot of fitness sports, a lot of young guys and the girls, they want to build muscle. Okay. I see kettlebell sports as something that builds muscle, but I think that it, more importantly than that, it trains your joints, tendons, ligaments, and your nervous system to get really strong. Have you ever done any kind of supplementary work to help your kettlebell work? For instance, isometrics, or, you know, have you ever concentrated?
Definitely. I mean, Neil, I train everything. I said I trained rings for a long time, and that really helped my upper body. Like I said, tendons and ligaments. I mean, you ain't going to get better than the rings for that, you know. Rings, I do a hell of a lot of squats, and anybody who's at a high level in kettlebell sports, it's all in the legs, you know. Jerk is all in the quads, and clean is pretty much all coming from the posterior chain. So lots of deadlifts, lots of squats, lots of strength work, lots of running. I mean, when I was training kettlebell sports, I was running 40K a week on top of all my kettlebell work and on top of my strength work. Wow. You know, so lots and lots of supplementary stuff to do. You can't just train kettlebells to get good at kettlebells. If you want to train to be the best at it, you've got to figure out what your weakness is, whether it's your cardio, whether it's your strength, or whether it's your mobility, and work that hard, you know, because there's a hell of a lot of things that go into making a good athlete, especially a kettlebell sport athlete. Yeah,
but even if you're doing it just as a hobby, I mean, like I am, I mean, you know, talking to you today, I mean, just brings up my mobility issues that I've got. But yeah, I know what I've got to work at talking to you. I mean, that is true though, isn't it? Everybody sits doing their comfortable thing that they like doing, and they work away at those, like you, I like clean and jerks and snatches and swings. And the things I don't like, I tell you what I don't like, because I can't bloody do it very well. And people that come into kettlebells, they can't do Turkish get-ups. They are horrible until you can do them, I guess. What do you think of the Turkish get-up?
What do I think? I've never really trained it. I've seen people do it, and I can see the benefits of it. Yeah, it's just not something that I've ever really concentrated on in a training. Well, I can definitely see the benefits of doing it. So, some people who do kettlebell sport hate fucking Turkish get-ups.
Yeah, they're horrible. But they show you up. They show you, like, my knee doesn't bend too well, so I can't get into the right position, which puts my strength out, and then the kettlebell isn't centrated in the right positions. And, you know, I can see a lot of people that have, but once you get it, and I haven't got it quite yet, but once you get it, it's really good.
It's sweet as a nut, exactly, and it shows up. Same thing with overhead squats and all those kind of strength mobility moves. I mean, they really show up, like, and they red flag where your problems are straight away, you know. So that was something I couldn't do as well. So I worked hard on overhead squats over the last couple of years, and now I can double overhead squat 32s and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I
was watching you do a complex or something the other day, and I see you doing overhead squat. Did you do it with that big rock? No,
I don't know about a 42.
It must have been the 42.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, what I see in your movement is you literally drop. So your hips open up and you can literally go back. So like when I squat, my butt has to go right back and down. because I haven't got the mobility there. But when you see someone who moves really well, like you do, David, it's like these Olympic lifters. They go straight down in their squat.
It.
Yeah. But I can't.
Straight down, hips nice and open, and they're just boom, you're straight up overhead, and you can push the legs and them straight up. But you see people who can't, and they're just forward because, again, just of the hip mobility, and it's all in the hips. This is what I'm telling to all my guys. I mean, hips. Train your hips. You know what I mean? They're the engine of your body. Train your internal, external rotation. Train your flexion. Train your extension. Train everything. You know, put some weight on there. Yeah. Try it. Work it hard because, I mean, it's all in the hips, isn't it?
Yeah.
For mobility stuff, anyway, like, you know, and kettlebell sport, fucking hell, kettlebell sport is all hips. It's all posterior and anterior tilts, you know. And people are just so stuck; they just can't move their hips. They're so bad. I suppose it's from just bad habits, postural habits, sitting down all day, sitting in your car, sitting down a walk, sitting and watching the telly, leaning forward on your phone, you know. But you just, once you work those hips, man, and that's because, I mean, I was really immobile. I was like the running joke in the family, like Davey the fucking plank. Maybe they just didn't like me, but
really,
I was as flexible as a child before. I couldn't touch my knees, but like now I can do all this mad stuff. You know, do really, really cool mobility stuff with yoga and with, like you said, overhead squats and you know, all kinds of shin box work and stuff like that. But it was just from freeing up my hips. I mean, Jesus, it's amazing what you can do now. You know, the quality of life you have just from working on that alone is incredible. You know.
Well, I once said. I mean, I used to say this to my clients when somebody is trying to do exercise, and particularly something like kettlebells or any exercise really, if you put 3 people in a room and one of them's got really tight hips, one of them's got a bit tight hips, and one of them's got no tight hips. Okay, just use them as an example, tight hips. And if someone says tight hips, what do you mean? Just say hamstrings and glutes and the quads, they're all tight. So when somebody goes and say all these 3 people go to the gym, the person that's super tight, he's got to actually work 5 times as hard to do the same thing as the guy on the other side, isn't he? Their own passion, strength, determination gets them through a training session, but they're absolutely exhausted by it. And the guy on the other side's like, well, you know, yeah, you kept up with me. We did it all the same, but you're now not going to recover as well as me, and I'll be fighting fit in a couple of days. So it's all coming full circle what we're talking about, isn't it?
Oh man, amen. I mean, amen. I mean, that's how I won those worlds. I mean, I was up against the guy came second place to me, a guy called Didier Buick. Again, another Irish guy, but he was fitter than me and he was stronger than me. Right? Definitely, this guy's an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
We're both in the same weight division, but what I had on him was I had better mobility. So through that better mobility, I could relax more for each lift. And he was ahead of me the whole 10 minutes until the last 30 seconds because he started to fail because he couldn't get anything else out of his muscles. They were gone. Whereas I was starting to sprint at the end because I could give whatever I had left and I bet my 2 reps. And I can honestly say your mobility will make you a better lifter in anything you do, whether it's powerlifting, whether it's Olympic lifting or whether it's kettlebell lifting. I mean, if you have better mobility, you can get into positions quicker. Yeah. You can get out of positions faster. You can use your muscles better. Isn't that it? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer that the best athletes in the world all have that kind of mobility where everybody else is in gyms up and down the land doing their bench press and their dumbbell curls, and they're all tight and stuck. And, you know,
muscle bound would be what I'd say. Yeah. Bound by their muscles.
Yeah, but that's the other thing I like about the kettlebell training is it works your entire body.
Oh yeah.
And I tell you, your head, hand-eye coordination, the brain, the left, right. It's you know, a lot of guys, particularly guys, I'm not saying the girls don't, they do as well, but you go and hit this bodybuilding style thing, and what happens is, I'm not knocking bodybuilding. I like bodybuilders and stuff. It is a sport, and they do some great stuff. But unfortunately, what happens is you go and start training. Immediately that you start working, say, your chest too much, because most guys do, don't we? You create an imbalance in your body. You get a pumped up chest. It stays with you for a long time. Your shoulders get too pumped up. You know, you do it for a few years, and then your body has changed, and you're going to find it very, very hard to get it back to what it was.
Get it back. Exactly.
And you're
Because
imbalanced. You're imbalanced front to back,
exactly,
side.
totally imbalanced.
Yeah.
And like your overhead then has gone to shit because your chest muscles are too tight, your pec minor is too tight, everything is too tight.
Yeah.
So I mean, your overhead has gone to shit. So then you're wondering why you're finding it hard in kettlebell sport. That's the reason, you know.
Yeah.
You're not training the right thing, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I try, because like you said, guys just want to get strong. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with getting strong, but like I said, it's bench press, it's curls, it's this kind of stuff, disco muscles, as opposed to functional fucking muscles. You know what I mean?
Disco muscles.
Get out there and get functional strong. You know, get your hips strong, get your core strong, get your legs strong.
Yeah,
you know, get your back strong. You know, I love all these old time strong men. I mean, like Sando and Hackenschmidt and all these guys. I mean, these are the guys I draw massive inspiration from their body shape to the way they lift and what they lift, like bend presses, getting strong in the 3D, getting strong all over, as opposed to just getting strong, you know, in front back. You know, you're getting strong all the way around, and this is what I love. You know, and this is what I take a lot of inspiration from doing my training now over the last COVID 10, 12 months.
Have you seen what I do with these?
How long is it? Don't move.
Good man. Good man. Yours is bigger than mine.
That's the first time I heard that one, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I got a lot more, believe me.
Oh man, I train meals, I train clubs, and I train MACE a lot. I love MACE.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
I absolutely love MACE, and I've been training MACE for the last. We had Rick Brown come over to us, Mr. Mace man came over to us.
Yeah, I know Rick quite well.
14.
Big shout out to Rick Brown. He's going to come on the show. Yeah.
And we had Rick over with us in about 2015, I think, actually. And I've been training MACE ever since, and I absolutely love it. And the things that MACE can do for your shoulders, man, it's mad.
It's insane.
Absolutely mad.
Especially when you get like, I don't know if you, I mean, you can probably lift it. I've been doing MACE work for a long time now, actually. I've never actually met Rick yet, although I was going to host him in London once. It never happened, but one thing or another. But when you go up to the 15, 20 kilo style MACE and you start swinging that and feeling that on your core, you know, like do you see these people that are doing all the movements with the MACE? So they're using a very, very light kind of wooden. I know. I'm
sorry. I mean, look, doing something is better than nothing, but I don't enjoy that. You know, I don't. I think it takes the basic idea of the MACE away from itself. You look, I mean, it's nice to look at. It's balletic. It's movement based, and that's always a good thing. And look, and more power to them. Leave them have it. But it's not for me. I prefer just using the heavy MACE and getting that grounded feeling from. Yeah. Like you said, taking it from the hips, using your core and your hips.
Yes.
And like I have a 44 pound MACE at the back, which I train with a lot.
Yeah.
And that thing, the big cube, I call it. That thing is awesome. You know,
yeah, I've got one. Yeah. I've got a big red one called Bullseye, and it's 20 kilos. And like, I shit you not, if I have to build up to using that, put it that way. I can't like go out there now. I haven't done any MACE swinging for a month or so, so I have to start building back up again. But the meals.
No man, I'm all about the MACE, all about it, and the clubs. I do a lot of. I made myself little cheese, you know, like little small weights on sticks, and I got a friend of mine to make me those meals I showed you. Yeah, I make my own gather maces. I got about 5 or 6 maces. I have a couple of steel ones I made myself, welded up.
That's so I made them out of concrete when I first started. Actually, I remember when I was very
and a stick.
Yeah, concrete. Yeah, that's all it is. That's all they use in India. We watched them do it. They use. Yeah.
Do you ever see those guys, man, lifting? I mean, they're lifting some weight. I mean, these guys lifting 40 kg maces over there. I mean, these small little guys. But just, it's incredible. Imagine one of those catching a hold of you. Mother of God.
I tell you, the Kushti wrestlers and that are, they are crazy. I actually got a load of videos about their style of training, and
I watched them. I love them.
Yeah, and it's just, man, I really did get into that for quite a while. All the Indian style training, it's very, very good. But I had I did the Persian yoga course with my coach, a guy called Kashi Azad. I don't know if you know Kashi.
I know Kashi. Yeah, I've seen him online a lot. Yeah.
Good. Well, I did a course with him, and he certified me in Persian yoga. I think I'm still still think I'm the only person certified in the UK. I could be wrong, but
amazing.
Well, in England anyway. But he So he's not a particularly big guy, is he? Right? He's
No.
quite wiry. I'd say he's about 5'8", something like that. You know, he's but he could swing a 20-kilo meal. I can't do it.
No.
Right? I would have to literally train. I think it's like you said about the Russians and that, where they're brought up literally, and they build that strength inside them. I can swing a 10-kilo meal. Yeah, not very well. And 10 kilo don't sound like a lot, does it? But they're heavy.
Neve, I mean, I talk about getting humbled. I hear that because I got a friend of mine to make me these meals.
Yeah.
And they're a pair of 13 kg meals. Yeah. And at the time, like I said, I was swinging 32 kg bells. I was like, 13 kg meals? What the fuck? Yeah. Can you make them any bigger? I said, no, it's the biggest I can make them. Right, I said, grand. I took them. I still can't swing the two.
No, you won't. No.
You know, and then I bought myself smaller ones, and now I'm training with them. But I mean, I would talk about getting humbled, or like, you know, 13 kg is going to kick your fucking ass.
Massively.
You know what I mean? It's all about how you use it. Isn't that it? So, I mean, I was delighted that started my journey. And that's another little thing I want to do in the next couple of years, is be able to get those two swinging at some stage, you know? But it'll take a while. It really will. It's like the kettlebells. You just got to build, you know?
Well, I think I built up to swinging the 10 kgs, so holding two of them, and like the way that the actual Persian guys do it, the Iranian guys do it as well, the grip, the way they put the little finger on the bottom of the grip and turn the mill slightly, it puts so much tension into you. But when I learned from Kashi, if you place the weight, it's going right back to what you were saying about positioning the weight stacked over the way you're holding it, it actually slots in quite simple. When you get it, you see, you'll work this out. When you get it, it's like, I didn't realize that actually feels easy now.
Yes, and that's what it should do, and that's what I like to see, like proper practitioners of any sport, even when the weights get heavier like that, or they bring the time out, that it looks beautiful. It looks like a ballet. It looks like a beautiful dance between you and this implement. You know, everything is in time. Everything is technically perfect, and it's just great to see. It's great to look at, you know.
Well, all that with the clubs and everything, they do it all to music and drum beats, so they time it. In the Zircana, exactly. They and I think even with the maces and stuff in India and that, they're always doing they bring a lot of music into their training, don't they?
Which that's fantastic. So you've got spirituality, you've got music, you've got rhythm, and you've got training all together in one. You know, it's beautiful. I'd actually love to go to one of these places and see it. And train it, you know.
That'd be a journey. That would be a journey. You know, like in the in India where they train in the like the pits, and you literally have to, like, it's like mud, isn't it? Dirt, and they have to smooth it all over by walking this big thing, dragging it around. It's like a plow, and it smooths it all out. You have to do that before you start training.
That's it. Before you start training, you said that to go over here, you'd have a fucking heart attack.
You see, like they don't have like, you see them standing in their kind of like in their pit, and they've got all these big lumps of concrete and wood, and they're throwing it around. What's that pole they've got that they jump up and spin around on?
Seen that, man. That's incredible.
Man, they just get up barefooted on this big wooden dummy type pole and just, I can't remember the name of it now, and just, it's like
acrobatics, pole dance, and calisthenics kind of work on one. It's incredible, you know. But like I said, it's using the tools that you got, and that's what kind of what COVID has done for us over the last 12 months. It's kind of put that start into place. What have you got? Get creative with it, and just get out and do it, you know.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people coming out, you know, with some imaginative stuff. You don't need a lot, really. It's like you said, you haven't got hundreds of kettlebells, have you?
No, man. I got about 7 and a rock and my body and your imagination. So and it's just crack on, man. You know what I
mean? Yeah. I mean, I've got twice the stuff you've got, but I can only do a quarter of what you do, you know? So it's like, it really isn't about what you got. It's about what you can do. And you just got.
It's about your attitude. And I think that's what Kettlebell Sport teaches you. It teaches you grit. And that came not from me, from a guy called Anton Anasenko. It's probably one of the hardest bastards you ever meet in your life.
Who's that?
Who's called Anton Anasenko, who's a multiple world champion from Russia in kettlebell sport. But he's also Olympic level sambo athlete before that. This guy's an absolute animal.
Right. Yeah.
But he said what kettlebell sport teaches you is great. It teaches you heart.
Yeah.
And it teaches you discipline. You know, and it does. It really, really tests you mentally. I've seen so many guys who are physically so strong and fit, but I mean, get beat down mentally by kettlebell sport because you gotta put your mind over mental, I suppose, is what you gotta do with it. You know, you gotta push through the pain barrier because it's like getting to minute 6 or minute 7 and it absolutely sucks. But you just gotta keep going. You know, and I think it teaches a great discipline that way. That like anything else in your life becomes easy after doing a 10-minute set on 32s.
Yeah,
And the thing I'm most proud of, I think, in my life ever did was the 2 hour set with the 216s.
2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I set myself this target. It was an ultra marathon there 2 years ago, where people were doing single bell ultra marathon. And I said, what if someone done a double bell ultra marathon? I said, it can't be done. I said, great, that's great. Here we go. I'm going to train for this. So 2 hours non-stop lifting with 216s. And I got 634 reps and no rest.
You didn't put them down?
No. So that's gone down that was officially judged as a world record. So that's the thing I'm probably the most proud of doing in my life was that, because no one has done it before and no one's done it since. And that was in 2018.
Yeah, I guess it's like marathon running or something. It's only that. I mean, did you do, like, before you done the 2 hour session, had you actually, like, do you train yourself to do longer than 2 hours to be able to cope with the 2 hours on your training?
No, well, I treated it like a marathon, training for a marathon. So like I'd done up to 90 minutes with the 216s in training. And I'd done up to 90 minutes on the airline bike, on the assault bike, doing like 1,500 calories in 90 minutes. And I pushed myself as much as I possibly could, I suppose mentally for it, because like physically 216s isn't that difficult. They're only 16s, but what it is it's so tough mentally when you get to half an hour, like, you know, because a lot of people have done a half-hour sets with 216s and like, Jesus, I'm glad I can put them down. But I mean, try doing that 4 times in a row without stopping, you know, because when you get to these milestones, your body kind of saying, fuck man, you need to stop now, you know, that's enough. But just to be able to,
I think most people couldn't do that with a pair of bean cans. They couldn't do it. 16 kilos, yeah. After 10 minutes, that's going to be heavy.
216s, yeah, for 2 hours. So you know, I'm really, really proud of that, because
good.
I hope someone does it again, and I can't wait till they do, so I can go up and I can shake their hand, because I know how tough it is. That was my my 500 kg Eddie Hall deadlift. That was my thing. No one else had done it before. I know that they even thought of doing it before. So just to say that you have a world record and you've done something that nobody else in the whole world has done, only you, because there's a lot of people in the world, and to say you've done something that no one else has done is pretty awesome, you know. You
like all the strongman stuff? Do you watch it at Christmas?
I love all the strongman stuff. I love it. I have huge respect for these guys.
Yeah.
I used to love watching the world's strongest man growing up, you know, back in the 80s.
Yeah, same here.
You know, John Paul Sigmarsson and all these
Viking
guys, you know, the Viking. He's just awesome. You know, he was larger than life, and he was incredible. You know, I'm watching all these guys growing up was amazing. Maybe that kind of took me into it later on. But I mean, huge respect for these guys. The work they put in, Jesus, the weights they're lifting are incredible.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
It's incredible.
I mean, they try to keep quite mobile, but sometimes you get so big you can't be that mobile.
I'm sure like the size of them guys. I mean, Jesus. Like watching some documentaries on them, they meant to have to eat even to stay that big, you know.
Oh, they're eating like 10,000 calories a day nearly, aren't they? And more, some of them.
He's eating all day long. I mean, I find it hard enough to eat 3.
Did you see the program that Eddie Hall did a program recently where they were recreating old time strongman lifts?
I watched all of those. Me and the kids, me and my sons. I got them to watch that with me, and
it was pretty good.
But and it was amazing in watching like the old time strongmen. How again they alluded to that in the program. How
they did.
How mobile they were, you know, how strong and how mobile they also were. You know, I suppose that the guys nowadays were probably stronger, but they definitely weren't as mobile as these guys. And that's what like I said, that's the kind of training that I want to do. I want to be as fit and as strong, but as mobile as possible as well. You know.
Well, I think there's, I certainly read a lot about the old time strongmen. You know, I'm a bit of an aficionado. I read it, aficionado. I read all the old time strong Sandow and,
Yeah, man.
you know, back to Apollon and people like that. It's, you know, they certainly were drug free, which is really,
100%.
yeah, which is really important for people nowadays to understand that, you know, a lot of what people are seeing from these guys in like the bodybuilding world and even
But
like
they
the
are,
weight, yeah, they're all they're you can never guarantee that they're not natural. So if you want to build a natural body, pick up kettlebells and follow the old time strongman training and do some yoga. You can't go wrong, really, can you?
Man, I mean, iron yoga. It's just go out and like I'm doing yoga, but with weights lately. I was like, man, this is just brilliant. Why isn't everybody doing this? You know what I mean? You're actually getting into better positions with the yoga because the weight is bringing you down into it, and you're getting stronger because you're pressing up out of the positions with the weight. It's like, this is just brilliant. You know what? The range of motion you're getting with just with small amount of training. Like I follow guys like James Fuller online, Strongman Archaeology. He's great.
Who's that?
He does all this. James Fuller is his name.
James Fuller.
Not friend him up. Strongman Archaeology he calls. And he does all the old strongman lifts with barbells. And again, he calls it iron yoga, but with barbells. And I get a lot of ideas from him.
Yep.
Like, he's just so strong and mobile. So like that's the kind of stuff I love, man. Really,
that's awesome.
A lot of respect for those guys, you know.
Yeah, I mean, again, going, where was I going to go with that? Going back into that old time strongman stuff. Yeah, so too many people nowadays are. Do you think a lot of people are concentrating on what they look like in the mirror rather than what they can do?
Oh man, disco muscles, I call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disco muscles, man. You know, it's everywhere. You know, I want to have big arms and I want to have a big chest.
Yeah.
And I have tiny little fucking chicken legs that are absolutely no use to me. You know. Whereas, yeah, I think it's become, because we're driven by social media and everything's on Instagram and everything is beauty and everything is, you know, big muscles, six pack. You know, what does training mean to you? It means having a six pack. You know, I think we can have a fucking six pack. That's just diet. You know what I mean?
But if I
starve yourself enough, you have a fucking six pack.
If I challenged any young man or woman out there today, right? If I said to you, if you can push 2 16-kilo kettlebells for 2 hours, you would have to have a body of granite and steel, and it would have to be supple. Forget about looking in the mirror. If you just trained for that, you would have to be. You could not do it in bad condition. It's impossible, absolutely impossible. And you look good as a consequence.
As a consequence, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You know.
Yeah.
I was never into the body beautiful. Because I never had one growing up, I suppose. And now after getting to the age where I don't really give a shit what anybody thinks about me anymore.
No.
But what I really want to do is I want to push myself to see how far I can go before I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I said, as a side effect, I'm after getting really fucking big shoulders and a big strong back and strong legs, and I'm kind of after getting strong all over, and it's not disco muscles. I don't have large biceps. I can have small arms, but I've got a strong body and a strong mind, and that's all I give a shit about.
With the advent of the kind of circular strength training, like clubs and maces and things like that, and the kettlebells and the strongman training, you've got two different types of people. You've got really the mainstream type of people, which are looking at Instagram accounts and saying, you know, looking at the abs and how big the biceps are. And then you've got this subculture, like our subculture, of people that are looking at Instagram posts and saying, oh, you know, fuck me, he just lifted a 60-kilo rock over his head and done a squat, or a 40-kilo kettlebell and done a squat with it, or he's swinging 140 kilos doing a kettlebell swing, or somebody's throwing a 20-kilo mace around with one hand. So people are looking at human achievement and dedication and motivation, rather than just looking at someone's body and going, yeah, like I've seen all that shit before. We do want to look good, don't get me wrong.
Of course we do. Yeah.
But it's like your mum said, didn't it, years ago, it's what's inside that counts.
And man, look, I'm 100% in agreement with you there. You know what I mean? It's about what you can do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Never mind how you look. You know, what can you do? I don't care if you have a six pack, or show me what you can do. Like, can you press a strong weight? Can you run, or can you snatch a kettlebell? Can you pick something heavy up off the ground? Like, what can you do? That's what I'm interested in. What can you do? You know, not how you look. I don't give a shit how you look.
No,
you know, but what can you do? And that's what I'm kind of saying to myself as I'm training. Like, what can you do? And people ask me all the time, why are you doing that? Like, why are you swinging 134 kilos? Why? I'm like, because I wanted to see if I could.
Yeah.
That's it. No other reason for it. Just to see could I. And why are you?
That's a good point.
Why are you doing all this mad shit, like 2 hours?
Yeah.
Just to see if I could.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there's no other great reason for it, but it's just to say that I can do that. You know. But hopefully, it might inspire somebody to try something and see can they do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of challenge. That's what life's all about, isn't it? If you're just sitting back taking the easy ride all the time, like, you're never going to grow as a person. But you go adversity. I believe adversity creates. Yeah, you've got to go. Like, I've moved kettlebells around for quite a few years, but until I'd actually gone and trained, like my trainer trains, and see how hard that is, I wouldn't have had the respect that I've got for it now. You learn. Do you think too many people nowadays, do you think too many people take the comfortable route all the time? A lot?
Something, like I said, it's something I see that's very prevalent online.
Yeah.
The 5 minute abs, or the 6 week program, or the 10 week program.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going to get fuck all. You know? Okay, look, you might get something in 10 weeks. You get stronger. You know what I mean? But I mean, this is a journey you're on. You know, it's not just a little segment and then you go back to eating like shit again. You know what I mean? What it is it's a journey. It's treat your body with respect. It's set yourself a goal and achieve it, and do something else. Set yourself another goal and break that. You know what I mean? That's what life is about, isn't it? You know, it's not about 4 or 5 week or 5 minute fucking. That stuff really annoys the shit out of me, man. I think I did. I've got ads online, all these stupid fucking weight machines, and all this bollocks. You know what I mean? It's like, you got a body, just go out and do some fucking push-ups, or go for a run, or you know what I mean? If push-ups are easy, do some one-handed push-ups. If they're easy, do one-hand, one-leg push-ups. There's always a way you can work even without weights. Push yourself on, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I follow some guys, particularly ex-army guys, like ex-Marines and things like that, and you see some of the stuff these blokes do. Like, no weights, you don't need no weights. It just, like you said, either get on a pair of rings, or they just do push-ups, sit-ups, bodyweight squats, lunges, jumping jacks, and you will just get absolutely fried just doing the simple stuff. And if you are getting fried just doing the simple stuff, then you might want to hold on before you do too much in the way of lifting weights, because body weight strength should be first, should it, David? What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think you should have a strong beginning, you know what I mean, before you start, and have mobility should be something everybody should be thinking about before they start lifting, you know. Sticking any kind of weight on an unstable body, or something that's kind of slightly out of line or out of whack, is only kind of probably going to lead you into trouble in later years. You know what I mean? Work on your mobility and work on your basic strength first. Build a really solid, wide base, and then start tapering towards the top.
There you go. All right, my friend.
This is just my own personal rant. That's all I'm at. But this is what I believe everybody should be doing.
Well, everything you've said is basics. It's just get the basics. You haven't really, there's no secret to mastery. There's no secret to strength. There's no secret to, pushing 216 kilo kettlebells for 2 hours, other than hard work. Hard work,
and work your basics non-stop. Technique over everything.
Do you use
the least amount of energy?
Do you use visualization? Do you see things in your mind?
For the 2 hours, actually any set I've ever done internationally, or any of the big sets, I think I get into like a flow state, because I've gotten so, and I'm not blowing my own horn, technically proficient with that lift. Like Bruce Lee said, like, I don't fear the man who done like 1,000 kicks, I fear the man who done one kick 1,000 times. And that's what I've done with long second. I just lifted that. So now I know I can do it on autopilot. and I can get a relax over each portion of the lift, and my breathing is with the lift. So everything is just rhythmic and flow, and I can just go off into another place, and that's what I do when I'm on sets.
Do you think people get too distracted into doing too many things? You know, at first, like they're trying to do a Turkish Get up, they're trying to do a snatch, they're trying to do goblet squats, they're trying to do all these different things, and then they're doing one arm pulls and rows. And do you think people should maybe specialize or work on just a couple of things first? Or
I think so. I mean, definitely when they're starting out, I mean, like the old adage, like keep it simple, Stu, but it's just keep it as basic as you possibly can for the first while. And if you want to do something like long cycle, or like Kettlebell Sport, you just got to put in thousands and thousands of reps of that lift to finally become proficient at that lift. You know what I mean? So work your basics, work your basic squat, your basic like overhead stuff, and work your mobility, but really work your technique before you do anything else. You know, technique over everything, always. And once you get that technique, that it becomes just muscle memory, it becomes second nature, then everything else kind of just falls into place after that. People get too distracted with, I want to get up onto the heavier weights, or I want to get this rank, which is X amount of reps. I have to get 60 reps. If you just do the basics, like everything else will follow anyway, you know?
Yeah. Do you recommend any books or anything apart from your own yoga book, of course? Is there, do you recommend any kind of training books to people in particular?
In general, or just with kettlebell related? No,
just in general, kettlebells or not.
I'm not a massive book reader when it comes to. I'm more of a kind of a doer, and I don't mean that in any disrespect. No. I've just gone out and I've lifted, and I've felt how it should feel. You know. Yeah. That's what I do, and like I said, geez, I'm making me maybe 3 hours a day just going out trying things and seeing how it feels. And that's how I've always approached my own. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying that's the way I do it.
No, I like it. I mean, you got the basics, you saw the basic ideas, and then you've just expanded on it yourself.
And I've just, like I said, I've been good at self-evaluation, and that's what I've done. And I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of stuff out there that people, you'd be more knowledgeable on that than I would, on books and materials to start reading, but I've always been more of a doer, I suppose.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Well, sometimes, all the gear and no idea there's that analogy as well, isn't there? Sometimes people could, they've got all the equipment, they've got all the nice clothes, they've got their cameras set up really well, but they can't lift for shit.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's the exact same thing applies with music. I mean, like, I was never taught music, but it was always just, you see the guys with the really flashy gear and the really good equipment and the best of amps and the best of guitars, but they can't play for shit. You see the guy with a really shitty fucking bed up acoustic guitar in the corner who's a nothing but sort of sit up around for like 5 hours a day every day, and he's the guy who's going to make something out of it,
Do you play the banjo?
Yes, I play the banjo, the mandolin, the guitar, and the bass.
Yeah, okay. So I've had a go at all of them. I wouldn't say I can play any of them though, but I did go for I've still got my banjo, and I was doing a bit of bluegrass. Is it?
Love the bluegrass. Yeah. You got a 5-string or 4-string banjo?
5.
The bluegrass banjo.
Yeah, 5. I really enjoy the banjo. I think it was Billy Connolly who first inspired me with it. That and Deliverance.
Oh man, Deliverance is brilliant. That scene is just iconic, isn't it?
Oh man, can you play that?
No. I don't have. I play the tenor banjo, which is the Irish traditional banjo. Yeah. So it's the same with the mandolin. I've never played a 5-string, but I can play. Put my hand to a lot of stuff. Jesus, I'm playing a band since I'm 15 now.
Oh yeah.
I just love music, man. Music is amazing.
I'll have to get over to Ireland for the crack.
Oh man, come on for the crack, a few points and a bit of lifting the rock at the back.
Oh man, that sounds like a dream, especially if I bring my motorbike as well, because I've got to do a tour around Ireland at some point.
Oh man, Neil, you're ever down my end, man. I'll sort you out, don't worry about it. We'll have a right day of it.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in southeastern, down in Waterford.
Waterford, yeah, okay, yeah. I think my missus has got family down around that way. We've both got Irish family out there, yeah. Yeah. Well, David, I think we can wrap this up now.
On the phone, man. I chat to you all day. You're very easy to talk to me, man. Thanks very much for having me on.
Man, thanks for coming on. It's really, you know, it's great to find out a little bit more about the man behind the Instagram account, because you never know, really. You see these pictures about people, but you never know really who they are or what they're about. And hopefully, like this will help your cause as well. People will, you know, they'll know what I know now. You're a nice guy. You do the work. You work hard, and people should buy your book and look at your stuff. And I think at the end of the day, we all want to, good people want to help other people. No matter the cost, you want to pass it back and say, look, if you want to get strong, do this. It's not about earning money off of people. This is what, you know, I'm making this show. I don't get anything for it. It's my own time. But yeah, and certainly, you know, like I said, your stuff is inspiring people, my friend. So please,
that's all like giving something back, and that's 100% what it's about.
Give it back, giving it back. But please keep it going. Have you got any sons or daughters that are going to follow in your strength lines?
Oh, I got 2 sons and a daughter, and neither of them are into anything to do with kettlebells or anything.
They might change when they're 30.
Maybe when they're 30, they've got plenty of time left. So.
All right, David, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'll get this edited. It will take me a few days just to make it look a little bit nicer. I might add a few photos of you from your Instagram account and things like that. Of course, as well.
No problem at all.
And then you'll be able to see this on YouTube, and then we'll be able to listen to it as a podcast, so people could just put it on in the car or something. That's pretty much it. Is there anything else you wanted to say? A final parting words?
No, that's it, man. 100%. Just look, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and thanks again for reaching out. I still find it amazing that people kind of want to have a chat to me about this stuff, considering where I started. But just thanks a million, man, and we'll try and give as much back as possible.
The funny thing is I asked a lot of people, and they said, "Yeah, Neil, it's a really good idea. Do it. You know, lots of different people, and it might help someone." I mean, I know it's not, you know, a famous podcast or whatever, but there's a lot of people with a lot of information who could just tap into this and listen to it, and it's just like, wow, you know, I didn't know you could just be at a world champion level just having 6 or 7 kettlebells and a rock.
That's it, man. It's all about your attitude. 100%.
There you go. We'll leave it on that, David. All right, I'll let you get back to your life. Take care of yourself, look after your family, and stay safe.
All right, buddy. See you. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Give me one of them. Take care, bud. So there we have it. That was David Keohan, and he's a strength athlete from over there in Ireland, across the pond. And what a great guy. He's just showing that you don't need anything amazing. You just need to put in hard work, and you can get where you want to go. Simple as that. He came from nothing, became a world champion, or world records. It's amazing. Really inspirational guy. Great to be able to talk to him. I certainly hope that everybody out there gets a little bit something out of this video. You may have picked up on some information that's going to inspire you, or, you know, get you out there into the fresh air, or just exercising in any way you can. Remember, healthcare starts with self-care, guys. So you are responsible for you. Health isn't a right. Health has to be earned. You've got to go out and do it. If I can do it with all the damage I've got in my body at the moment, bad knees, bad back, bad neck, you know, operations, 50 odd years old, overweight. David's coming from, you know, he was a smoker, he was drinking, he didn't do any exercise or anything, and he hit 30 something and decided, no, I need to change this around. There's always time. Don't matter how old you are, don't matter on your experience, you just got to get out there and start doing something. Please, if you like the show, if you see value in it, just like it, share it, click the notification bell. But more than anything, drop a message down in the chat below just to let us know what you thought. That really does help us to, you know, want to put more content out and share it with everybody. And, you know, your support, especially if you're in the fitness community, is honestly most appreciated. We need that help. All right, keep it all going. Till next time, guys, stay safe, take care of each other, and be strong and be tireless. Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.